Hey Barb! What are we doing today?
Our first Winx custom.
Nope.
Mermaid.
Nope.
G from Bratz.
Nope.
Nope. Your mom.
No. That's your mom too.
God damn it. Can you hear that?
We are vegetarian.
Hatsune Miku has made her way into my doll collection, and somehow we decided to customize her, but not really, but make an outfit for her for this UK BJD con that we just went to. So that's that video.
We got her second hand as a full set with all the clothes and accessories and, unfortunately, a stained body. So we're swapping the body for a Dollfie Dream Sister in the same skin tone, just different height and bust size. I actually started working on a different project, a BJD mermaid for Mermaid, but this cutie came in the mail and Barb was so enchanted by her that I just had to reorganize our schedule for this girl. Everything for the first princess of the world, right?
I usually start from the top of the doll with wig making. But I feel like a rebel today, so let's break the holy order of things and start from something else. The feet.
Because it's the first thing that I actually made in this project. We plan to make Geta shoes for her, so she needs a tiny bit of space between the toes. It took some time, but with a sharp knife, it's not that difficult. You just have to be very careful not to cut too much. And because her fingernails are painted, I'm also adding a similar color to the nails on the toes.
Okay, rebel time over. That was a very quick rebellion. Let's style the wig.
So we want to leave the original wig but add some cute fairy extensions to the ponytails. I'm braiding, twisting, gluing and wrapping in wire. The process is very self-explanatory, not much to talk about. I figured out that I have more motivation to edit these videos when I can talk about something important or like with a real impact. So I want to tell you about Heba from Palestine. She reached out to me asking for financial support, and I'm sure we all heard how horrible the war is. Skyrocketing prices of food, bad internet connection, poor water supply, but also fear, loss, despair, and frustration. I've been in contact with her for a few weeks now, and I had a video call with her to confirm if I'm not being scammed. And it turns out I'm not. She's a real person with real problems and very real, hungry children. Our call ended with her running away with the kids because of the bombing. I already donated to her PayPal and her fundraiser, and one more thing I can do is share her campaign with you. The food is very expensive there, so every coin counts. We artists are sensitive to the emotions of others, especially suffering, and even if I picked animal rights and welfare as my long-term or even a lifetime mission, I simply can't stay silent anymore when it comes to people in Palestine. I really believe that good will come back to good people, so if you have a spare coin, consider donating to those in need. I plan to support Heba and her family with small donations regularly. The link is in the description. Okay, now back to the regular content and Miku. This is how the extensions look like. They have a strip of Velcro at the back, so they stay looped on the ponytail, but I also secured them with pins for more stability.
The skirt is not the main feature of the outfit, but I want it to be evoking the original vibe, so it needs to be pleated and it needs to be A-line shaped.
To make that happen, the pleats need to be narrower at the top than the bottom, and so this is basically a pleated circle skirt. I cut it in a few pieces as it was easier to manage cutting it that way. Then I took on the painstakingly long process of setting the pleats the right way.
This will take a moment, my dudes. I'll be back.
After a while, I kinda got into like a zen mode, and it wasn't so bad.
As I thought, it took ages. But now, I'm gonna hem, and then we're gonna stitch this in permanently. But I don't want to do it before I hem, but I wanted to press these in, because the hem had the snips. Logistics.
I basted the pleats in place before the next step, which is making the skirt less boring. I really need to incorporate more heat transfers into the projects more often, so a small golden decoration on the skirt in the shape of sakura petals will be nice. I wasn't sure right away at which stage I would put the design on, as I couldn't really press it before the pleats being in place, otherwise like 2/3 of the design would be hidden, so I prepared them in slices. After weeding the design out, I could lay the design on the already pleated skirt to see how it will look in the end. I'm doing a bit of videography challenge for myself to capture more angles for you guys, and this is the result.
Yeah, Jamie!
Quite the unfortunate result, I would say. I delicately transferred the skirt onto the heat press, and you can see that I cleared the staining situation for this occasion, and I'm being weird. And that's the transfer done, and I hope you're entertained.
I was having some issues pinning the waistband on, and I realized that I think I've made it a little too big. Even if I was sewing for a smart doll, she said, while going to grab a smart doll, this would still be quite a bit too large. And I don't understand why. Like, am I stupid or what happened? Make sure that this is like on this side, this flap is on the front. This is the last flap that we need, so I'm gonna trim it here, finish this, and then this flap will be, for what I meant it to be, is like, just close like this and be open, because no one cares. So 1, 2, 3, 4 flaps. Too many.
In the pattern, I still left it a bit larger, that way you can adjust the height of the waist to your liking. I added on the waistband and its facing, and I decided to stitch it in the ditch, which requires gluing my eyeballs to the machine, like so.
Had I had some foresight, I could have attached the Velcro to only this layer, inner layer, because there's 2 layers here. And I wouldn't have this ugly stitching, but foresight she had not. Oh, it's so ugly. Contemplating redoing it. I don't know, I think some tension issues I am having, Yoda Master. I'll see if I have the time to fix this. I mean, ask yourself, would you not fix everything for the #1 princess of the world? Exactly. So I am fixing it right now. Not even thinking if I have the time. Anyway, I ripped the stitch that I did to secure this. And I'm gonna add the Velcro here, back. I'm not gonna be able to go quite up as high, but it doesn't matter because I'm gonna add like a hook and eye on the top. So it should work out.
The said hook and eye require a soupy zoom, and after setting that in, the skirt is finished.
We're taking our Miku to a fae-themed convention, and a fairy needs her wings, so let's craft some from resin and wire.
I think the gold details will make the whole design look warmer in tone and with a more royal vibe. I made a sketch in digital, measured it, printed, and then I forgot to take it with me to the workshop, so I quickly drew something similar instead of going home and back. It was dark and cold, okay? I didn't want to go out. I bent the wire in the shape of what I drew and prayed that both of the wings, because I'm making a pair, will turn out symmetrical. Spoiler, they didn't. I placed it on the sticky side of a vinyl sticker sheet, added some thinner wire as details, and pressed the whole thing together so it stays there. Some more, even thinner wire detail, and I can start pouring the resin. Then 3 minutes in the UV light to cure it. And because resin tends to create meniscus, it also made a few tiny holes in the middle of some of the sections. But it's an easy fix, just make another layer of resin. And after curing, it's safe to touch and it can be taken off from the vinyl. It was easy to peel off, but only with the small wings. These are going to go on the head, so they are pretty small. They look super cute and crystal clear now. I'm going to add some color in a moment, but let's make the big wings first. Actually, I wanted them to be a medium size. I want to keep the big wings for the Wings Club girls in the future. So in the Smart Doll and Dollfie Junior scale, these ones are not going to be that big. I'm basically doing the same as before, but on a bigger scale and modeling the wire directly on the vinyl sticky sticker. It wasn't easy, I definitely recommend this method for smaller wings and fins. If I had a white sticker vinyl, I would make one thin layer of clear resin and add the colors directly on top without taking the wings from the sticky first. I think it would result in a bit thinner and lighter wings. I also have to say that this way is not perfect. When peeling off the wings, some of the glue sticked to the wing and I had to rub it off with alcohol to dissolve it. Not a nice thing to do and I would prefer to avoid it. But I'm not sure if that's because of this specific vinyl or you should be looking for a different material with a different type of glue. More data needed to conclude that. I also had a problem with one wing being too fragile and falling apart when peeling off the sticker. I tried to save it, but well, it is ugly. So I just made another one, but stronger. Okay, now that we have all pieces, I can mix some alcohol pigments and pastels with the resin and add a few thin layers on both sides for a better pigmentation. Next time, I'll do it only on the back layer, so I can still have the pretty gold detail of the wire visible, because here I basically covered it with the tint and the gold lines became green. But it still looks cute. I joined the wings together for more stability and they are ready. I love that they look like glass or water, and the color turned out so pretty. You can see that even with a few more layers, they still have some transparency, which nice for real life, but a pain to photograph. They turned out very Enchanterium-y in our favorite colors, green and blue. And look how magical they look on her head. She's not finished yet, but already so cute.
Time to cut the top part of the outfit, which is 2 yukatas.
I started thinking I would make the inner one in white, but the fabric was meh, so I ended up switching to the same one as the skirt, with the collar and sleeve ruffles being a bit darker. For variety or something, I don't really know, it doesn't really shows up that much, but it's different, okay? And now for the thing that started this project at all, my collection of fabric I got in Nippori Town in Japan. It's been almost a year that I had this fabric at this point, and I think the statute of limitations has passed, and I can use it now, instead of just looking at it and being like, ooh, my cool fabric from Japan. These prints are amazing, and I think I could find one for Sakura Miku and Snow Miku as well, but since we're going for that original tea palette, I chose this teal and blue one. The whole point of making a short yukata pattern for me was that these fabrics are about 50 by 50 centimeters, and I wanted to make a garment evoking the kimono vibe that I could fit on that small piece with the traditional prints that I have. Depending on the length of the yukata you choose, you might need to piece the collar in the back, but that's about it. So I'm pretty proud of making this work.
For my convenience, I'm not gonna switch the desks with the machine and the serger. It's set up on my other desk, which is kind of a mess, but also I'm listening to Vocaloid and I have weird hair. So that's the Saturday update.
Both the inner and outer layer are constructed almost the same, starting with the back and shoulder seams. Then the sleeves are constructed. The outer sleeves are hemmed, and the inner get a ruffle attached. The ruffle piece is folded in half and gathered tightly. I recommend doing 2 rows of gathering stitches for the best results.
Here you actually want a little bit ungathered, because this is going to be the seam allowance, so it's better to leave this a little flatter.
After the sleeves are finished, they can be attached to their respective bodices respectfully. And now, on how patterns should be done.
This is good, by the way, because the seam is gonna end here, which is the 7 millimeters, and these match in this point. So ideally, my pattern would have this corner cut off, and maybe the final version will. Who knows?
And I did fix it in the final version, by the way.
And stitch from this side, so that you can manipulate the puckers.
You should now have these 2 almost done. Next is setting in the collars. Best to pin them from the center back.
Of course, don't forget to snip, snip, snip. Just a few snips on the backmost part will help you play this apart.
Here again, it is best to pin from the right side, but stitch from the wrong side and manage the puckers as you go. Trim the collars in the front, and I have some
good news. All pieces are attached. Close the side seams, serge the bottom, and hem the bottom and the front pieces, just like this. And it will be time to try it on. Yay!
The set is almost complete. I padded out the doll's waist with a ribbon to negate the larger than Canon bust on this doll. And as you can see, I ended up attaching another faux white color to the inner yukata. I used a thin ribbon to hold the layers in place in the meantime, and I love how it's coming together.
Okay, I'm starting to see the vision. I am. We're gonna fix the back in a second. Ta-da! Oh my god, it's so cute! She's so cute! And as always, the final stage is a mess, but I need to come back and add a little detail that I missed before, and that is her number 1. She has a tattoo originally.
I think it's pretty delicate, but a detail that can't be omitted.
The only thing I have to say is poppy poppy pop poppy pop poppy poppy pop poppy pop poppy poppy pop poppy pop poppy poppy pop poppy pop. So good.
Now let's go back to the first thing I did in this video, the feet, because she needs some shoes.
Barb designed and 3D printed a simple Geta sole I cut thin stripes of this fake leather and I'm temporarily putting them in the holes in the soles. I'm securing the first point with hot glue, clipping the excess leather and repeating it on the rest after measuring if it fits the feet. If it fits the feet. My Polish getting inside sometimes. I thought a gold bead will be a cute way to decorate, but when I tried, I suddenly realized that the shoes need more decorations. So I'm attaching a butterfly charm on each shoe and also gluing a small little cute flower in the front. Do you remember the Enchanterix transformation from the Winx Club? They have these iconic wire or vine-like shoes, and I want that for our Miku fairy. On small dolls like Monster High, just add wire and it's done. Easy, quick, a lot of design options because you can shape the wire in some intricate ways, but I don't think it can work here. The scale will make it look ridiculous, and also the wire can stain the doll. I tried with some elastic and ropes, but it was meh. So instead of just wrapping something around the leg, I'm going to design and make it from Worbla. First, protecting the doll. Second, sketching the design. With this method, I can make more fancy design than just lines, so I'm drawing like swirls and little spikes, but it made the process a bit more complicated because curves are not the easiest to cut. Third, cutting from paper, tracing it, and cutting from Worbla. At this point, I decided not to make them symmetrical because it would be a nightmare, because I don't believe in my cutting skills. They are not that good. Next step is warming it up and shaping it into the right form. In my opinion, Worbla is not an easy thing to use, especially when you want small objects from it, and when you can't blow the hot air directly on the surface, it also makes it a little bit complicated to manage. But I sculpted something like this. And because Worbla is not very sturdy, I covered it with 2 layers of UV resin. I rubbed a golden powder into it, and after trimming some of the ugly edges from the resin dripping, I can add some cute little accessories like these golden flowers, gold, caviar beads, and other, nail art supplies, I think. They turned out a little bit wonky in some places, but for the first time trying something like this, I call it a success. The resin made them a bit more sturdy, but they are still flexible, so you can easily put them on and don't break when you squeeze them by accident or on purpose.
To finish off the outfit, she needs a big, wonderful, splendid belt called the obi.
I used shiny gold leather and this sparkly gold fabric, and I made them into 2-bit first, but that was a bit too bulky, so I used the power of mesh hemming tape to make nice crisp edges on version 2. I stitched the layers together only in the back, so any decorations could be still sort of tied around the outer belt, and I added snaps to close it in the bag.
Wow, how cool. How do you keep your pants up while filming? It's incredible. Belt.
Barb brought a lot of cute keychains and doll accessories from Japan, and I'm sure we can find a place for them in this project.
Now, when we have a belt, we can attach the wings. They just go between the yukata and the belt, and it holds the wings pretty well. But I wouldn't be myself if I didn't add some more details to it. And while I'm doing that, let's thank our supporters.
This video is sponsored by our lovely patrons, our top tier Lost Sister supporters Stephanie Deer and Adia Bear, and our cousins Nylini, Reese's Cup, Candy Guts, Artboxy, Willa Vanilla, Hope Z, North Soul, Laurent, Sofa Cushion, Angel Silver Rose, Vibrant Sprite, Malachite, Alienite, Whimsy, Whitetail, Skeeto Kato, Krista Hopper, Dull Dragon, Eden Cassidy, Leon Drostings, DM Bacarona Smith, Jeanette, Melissa Novoa, Rinth, Fan of TA, Ashley, Mikey Lemon, Andrea Selector Kane, Realty, The Barbie Witch, Stephanie, Carajo, Jane Beck, Caribou, Ninja Sardazino, and last but not least, Catherine Nodden. Thanks, guys!
One more thing Barb bought in Japan was this kitsune mask. And I thought Japanese fae creatures are more like spirits than Western fairies, so I wanted that energy mixed here. And it just sounds amazing. Kitsune Miku. It's perfect. I painted it, added some details with glue, spray it with glossy varnish to make that ceramic kind of shine, and added some magnets at the back so that the mask is magnetic. And with that little detail, the doll is finished.
is how she turned out. I love how Miku just overtaken my life lately and completely overhauled the plans for this month's project. I think she is a universally beloved character, and it was so fun when people at the con would recognize her as Miku. I think her being a recognizable character kind of broke the ice for some people, that they would come up and talk to us instead of just like looking at us from a distance. I hope you guys don't mind that Alex didn't get to paint this one, but I didn't have enough time to take her in as she is. Her main body is still in the disdaining phase, so I haven't really dressed her up in her original outfit, let alone think about customizing her. We had a wonderful time at UKBJDCon, where we could meet one of the fairies that's part of the collab. That one's by Beth Ramsden, and our other friends, Sandy from My Lady Disdain and Kat from Magical Girl Kit Kat, also made wonderful fairies, and we encourage you to check them out. They are linked in the description. One of the reasons why we made Fairy Miku is because UKBJDCon had a Fae ball theme. We thought maybe let's do a Winx doll that would fit right there, but because we are overachievers and love Winx so much and want to make it a very big project, we decided that it's not the time for that now. But it is time to tell you that we will be doing a Winx doll for our Patreon collaboration of the year. If you're that one mean person who told me that Winx is not a magical girl show, you cannot join this collaboration, but you can become a Patreon and make your own magical girl doll together with us in August. More details on Patreon. Make sure to follow us on Instagram for some sneak peeks and subscribe for future videos. Join Patreon for extra content. Have an enchanted day, and we'll see you next time.
Poppy, 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 poppy. Y-S-I-A, just I love you too.